as the public is able to monitor the meeting and certain other conditions are met. Public comment is permitted during the citizens petition portion of the meeting. When we get to those portions of the meeting, I will ask persons wanting to make a public comment to identify. If anyone wishing to speak has difficulty connecting the meeting with Zoom, please call Assistant Village Manager Brad Bloom at 630-789-7007. So Chris, you want to take a roll call vote?
Sure. Trustee Postuma,
Here.
Trustee Banky,
Here.
Trustee Stifler,
Here.
Trustee Hughes,
Here.
Trustee Harlow,
Here.
Trustee Burns,
Here.
President Colley.
Here. So the next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of January 19th, 2020. Can I have a motion?
I move to approve the minutes of the board meeting of January 19, 2021.
Second.
Any changes?
I just have one little correction on page 4. It shows the nays for that Lakeside Bank vote. It says Stifler, Hughes, and Burns, none. You could probably lose the word none.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, that takes us to President's report.
Can we take a roll call on the minutes, please, Tom?
Oh, sure. Thank you.
Trustee
Have a roll
Postuma. Yep. Trustee Postuma,
Aye.
Trustee Banky,
Aye.
Trustee Stifler,
Aye.
Trustee Hughes,
Aye.
Trustee Harlow,
Abstain.
Trustee Burns.
Aye.
Thank you.
It takes us to President's report. I'm sad to report that Daryl Langlois, who's been the finance director for many years, is leaving Hinsdale to become the assistant controller for Joliet Junior College. Daryl joined the village of Hinsdale as a finance director in March 2020, and it was about the time he became village president and has been finance director since then. He helped lead the village in connection with the recovery from the recession that took place in 2008 and 2009, and helped maintain the financial strength of the village since that time. Under Dale's leadership, the village has continued to earn a certificate of achievement for excellence in financial reporting from the Government's Finance Officials Association for the comprehensive annual financial report every year. And this most recent achievement marked the 26th consecutive year that this award has been given to the village of Hinsdale. More recently, Daryl's efforts have helped secure CARES Act funding during the pandemic, which have been commendable and have allowed the village to present a balanced budget for this fiscal year, as well as maintaining a healthy financial reserve. So we're all grateful for Daryl's years of service and wish him well in the next chapter of his professional career. We have started the professional recruitment process with GovHR to find a replacement for Daryl, which will be difficult to do given what a good employee Daryl was. And we're looking at a number of sources to find a replacement. In the meantime, Assistant Finance Director Allison Brothen will serve as the interim finance director. So we'll keep trustees posted on efforts to find a replacement for Daryl. So good luck to Daryl. Recently, this weekend, we had a record snowstorm. I think it was the largest snowfall we've had in 5 years, and it was on Sunday. And the National Weather Service reported in Downers Grove that there was 12 inches. And so I want to thank the Public Works staff for the good work that they did around the clock over the weekend to keep our roads passable. And this happens every time we have a significant snowfall. There's an effort to try to remove snow from the downtown area, and this Public Works staff has been working, and they'll work again tonight from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. to remove snow from our downtown. So these guys and gals do a wonderful job, and our appreciation goes out to them. A number of residents have indicated that we took snow from the parking deck and put it temporarily on the Washington lot. We'll be in the process of removing that as well soon. An item that the trustees received in an email concerns the last Friday when Hinsdale police officer Jeff Huckfelt and Officer Sandra Acevedo were called on the report of a car on the parkway in front of the post office. Officers needed to break the window because there was a gentleman slumped over the steering wheel, and they made entry into the car by breaking the window, and quickly determined that the driver was not breathing, and they gave the driver CPR. It was later learned that a piece of food had lodged in the man's airway, and he was unable to breathe. The CPR dislodged the item, and the man has since fully recovered. I'd like to recognize both Officer Huckfelt and Officer Acevedo for their quick response. Their actions, as well as those of the firemen and paramedics who arrived at the scene shortly thereafter, saved this man's life. This is just another example of what a great police department and fire department the Village of Hinsdale has. On the coronavirus front, on Tuesday, January 26, Region 8, which includes DuPage and Kane County, moved into Tier 1, which brings positive changes. For bars and restaurants, indoor service is limited to lesser 25 persons or 25% of capacity. For fitness centers, you can go to the website and look at the all sports policy, which provides levels of practice and competition based upon individual sports. Meetings and social events is limited to 25 guests or 20% of overall room capacity, both indoors and outdoors. Then I'd like to just report on the incidence of COVID in this area. We've gone down a little bit in our Region 8. We're now at 6.5% positivity rate, and that's a reduction from where we were last time I reported. As of today, Hinsdale Hospital has 3 persons under investigation for COVID and 13 people in the hospital for COVID. As of February 1, DuPage County website reported 1,108 COVID cases in Hinsdale. That's an increase of 160 cases since the last reported on January 5th. There have been 50 deaths reported in Hinsdale County. 47 of those come from the long-term care facility. Cook County website reports 145 COVID cases in the Cook County portion of Hinsdale, and that's up 31 cases from January 5. As of February 1, there were 8 deaths reported in Cook County, which remains unchanged since my last report.
Hey, Tom?
Yeah.
On that, maybe Kathleen's got an update, but aren't we supposed to go to phase 4 tomorrow?
Yes, I believe so. Yes, they were reporting that.
Yeah.
So the restrictions will ease.
They'll be further,
from-
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll loosen up a little bit more. So then the good news is that the Illinois Department of Public Health website reports that while there have been new cases in Manor Care, I think they had 53 new cases in the past 28 days. But the good news is that we've informed that all staff and patients at Manor Care who've agreed to be vaccinated have been vaccinated. So, since we started reporting on this, Manor Care, which is the long-term care facility in Hinsdale, has suffered the most of any of our residents, and I'm glad to see that they've all been vaccinated. And the people who have agreed to be vaccinated, the staff, have received both doses. So we should put an end to the problems of going on at Manor Care.
Yes.
Sorry, somebody say something?
Yeah, no, it's Kathleen. I just wanted to confirm that while the occupancy numbers in the tables in phase 4 may have gone up, it's still at the 25% benchmark.
That's right.
Okay. Go ahead.
25% or 20 tables, right?
Okay.
District 86 has been gracious enough to offer as a vaccination site to provide vaccination opportunities for those District 86 residents who qualify under classifications A1 and 1B, 1A and 1B. As vaccinations become available, the District 86 and the village will work with the vaccine providers and the county health department to notify the community of the eligible categories. As new information becomes available on new vaccine sites and the ability to obtain a vaccine, please visit the village's website for that information.
President Colley, I'd also like to add that I just encourage any resident to register with the county health departments. They are keeping a database. And so if you qualify in 1A and 1B, it's important to get your name in there. That will be a site that when I mentioned that we'll work with DuPage County Health Department and District 86, we will be hopefully mining information from the county websites to determine the eligibility of Hinsdale residents. So it's important that they get their name in there.
Okay. So that takes us to the public hearings on the appropriation ordinance. So the next item is the public hearings to receive public comment on the village's proposed appropriation ordinance for calendar year 2021. Per state statute, the public hearing notice was published in Hinsdalean on January 22nd, 2021. Has been on file for public inspection for the required 10-day period prior to the public hearing. The proposed appropriation ordinance mirrors the calendar year 2021 budget, which was adopted in December, with the exception of account 1100-7209 accounting services, whereby $83,220 have been appropriated but have not been included in the 2021 budget. This amount is included to cover the blanket purchase orders to the firm of Lauterbach and Amen, who is currently providing interim part-time accounting services to the finance department. These services will be needed for much of 2021 due to the transition in the finance department, as well as to address responsibilities that, due to the turnover and the demands of the ERP project, have resulted in a backlog. In addition, there's a contingency line item for each department, and this is something we do every time we do this appropriation bill. The contingencies are used historic percentages ranging from 5% in most departments to 10% in the capital programs. These contingency amounts are included to ensure that the village has legal spending authority in the case of unforeseen situations or emergencies such as severe weather or fire. The library appropriations are set by the library board and are included per state statute requirements. The proposed ordinance totals $57,856,777 and represents the village and library spending authority for calendar year 2021. And if there's anybody on the line who would like to make a public comment about the appropriation ordinance, now is the time. This is the public hearing for such matters to come up. Anybody on the line, Brad?
I just unmuted everyone who's out there, so they have the opportunity to speak right now.
Anybody on the line that'd like to speak to the proposed ordinance approving the spending limit for 2021 for the village? Okay, having heard none, I think I have to make a motion, right, to have the public hearing adjourned?
Yes.
Okay, can the trustee make a motion to adjourn the public hearing relating to the appropriation ordinance?
Move to adjourn the public meeting related to the appropriations ordinance.
Second.
A public hearing.
Public
I
hearing.
should have said, to be precise. Yep.
And can we have a roll call vote?
Trustee Postuma,
Aye.
trustee Banky,
Aye.
trustee Stifler,
Aye.
trustee Hughes,
Aye.
trustee Harlow,
Aye.
trustee Burns.
Aye.
So my script says President Colley declares the motion passed and the public hearing adjourned. Don't we take up the ordinance separately as an agenda item, Daryl?
Yes, it's on the first reading agenda.
Okay, so we'll take that up later.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Okay, so then we have, now that we've had the public hearing on appropriations, we'll take up the appropriations motion later. But the next item on the agenda is citizens petition. Anyone on the phone that wishes to speak to any matter on or off the agenda. And again, if you have something on the agenda, you may want to wait until we get to that item on the agenda, but you can speak now if you'd like. You open all the lines, Brad?
Yes, I did.
Any takers on public comment? Okay. That takes us to Jerry, I think you're first.
Yeah, we're back to, so this is the appropriations ordinance. President Colley, you well introduced it. This was all in the budget except for the exception that you noted and has been published, and so otherwise routine. But this would go to a second read because it's a budget item.
Okay. So everybody agree? We'll just put that on second read. Any comments? Okay. That takes us to you, Neil.
Yeah, a couple of public works projects. First one is the phase 2 of putting the new water main along Chicago Avenue. This is the one you might remember we started last year where we installed a new main from the water plant to Washington Street. Now we're going to take it from Washington Street all the way to Stowe. We'll be replacing this 98-year-old 12-inch water main under Chicago Avenue. So we bid this out as indicated in the RBA, and the John Neary Construction Company won the bid with a bid of $1,721,000. This was well under the budget of $2.24 million, and we're finding that not all vendors, but some vendors are trying to be very competitive with their bidding. So anyway, this came out way under budget. But before we get too excited about it and want to spend the extra money, I would caution that when we were doing the water main last year, we ran into a lot of stuff. When we started going under the railroad tracks, we ran into all sorts of trouble. Here, there's some concerns when we go by the first couple of blocks, when we go by Fuller's. There's some leaking storage tanks that could cause us trouble. And there's also a lot of utilities in that area too, not all of which we know about. So we'll have to kind of go carefully there. But once we get past Fuller's, that whole Fuller's installation there, we think it should be pretty good going then all the way to Stowe.
So, hey, Neil, question on the storage tank. So one, is it just related to the Fuller's location? And two, if there's contamination and the need for special treatment of the soil and the spoils coming from this, how does that get handled?
Dan, are you on?
Yes, I'm on. There's Fuller's is one area where we know we have a leaking underground storage tank. The mobile station is a second area. We didn't hit any contaminated soils as we approached Washington Street where the mobile station is. This is sort of a precaution. We have in the past tried to go, try to collect some of those costs from the owners of those, those
Storage tanks?
stations. Yeah. So, we have to handle that appropriately as the Illinois EPA calls us to, and then try to resolve the costs as they occur.
So we had this for Garfield, right? And maybe some of the work down First Street where there was a station and tanks near the Fuller's Hardware now.
Correct. Yes.
So maybe when we get to it, just kind of knowing what precedent was set there in terms of cost sharing or whatever it is that we did would be helpful to know.
Right. We as we first have to figure out what the costs are in terms of recovery of this, handling of this material, if there are any, and then we get into negotiations with those owners in terms of cost sharing on that.
Okay.
Dan, hadn't we done sampling around those around Garfield on those storage tanks there? Did we didn't find anything, or am I thinking of something else?
Well, we did do some sampling over there where, sampling is pulling a 6-inch sample out of a 600-foot block.
Yeah,
so
it's hit and miss.
It's sort of hit and miss. As I said, we were getting close to that area when we finished last year and didn't hit any contaminated soils. So that's a good sign. So we're gonna keep monitoring that as we move forward here.
So Neil, one question I have is on the budgeting for this.
Yes,
So, well, you said that the budget for this construction is $370,000. Is that all in for just the construction costs? Because the next item up is the
observation.
engineering observation, and there's, it just says there's sufficient resources, but it doesn't have a budget amount in there. And I'm wondering what was included in the 2.237 number?
The 2.237 was just the construction.
Okay, then what, okay,
The budget for the other one for the observation was 248,000 I have here. And as you can see, HR Green came in way under that.
yeah, I just wonder why we just say that there's sufficient resources to fund it rather than having a number in there. I don't
Yeah,
see-
That was my error.
Okay,
yeah, there was yeah,
okay,
yeah,
so
'cause
on both of them, we're under budget.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah, especially the second one. So first one, that is the first read. Do we go consent agenda on that? Any other questions?
sounds like it's consent agenda.
Okay.
I have
And
one.
then the second one
Sorry,
is,
go ahead. Laurel has a question.
yeah, go ahead.
I have a question. Are we replacing the 12-inch main with a 12-inch main?
Yes, we
Dan?
are.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay. I was just wondering, there's been so much redevelopment all over Hinsdale. And I just wondered what, if that ever requires, when we're replacing these really old pipes, if we ever upsize because they're servicing such larger houses. And you know what I'm saying?
Yes, yeah, no, I
Sure.
do. And the typically we're using 8-inch mains and our in most of the residential streets, and 12-inch mains on our distribution. Those are more than adequate to provide pressure out throughout
Right.
Hinsdale.
Okay, thank you.
good question, because some of these new houses with these bathrooms, these showers, they have all these nozzles and everything. And sometimes I wonder if we have enough pressure to activate those.
Well, and when you think about when many of the old houses were built, there was not a bathroom per bedroom. And now the standard for new construction is to have a bathroom per bedroom, pretty much. So it is an enormous amount of water consumption that goes up, that has gone up, I think.
Yeah.
Yes,
I just can't see-
we've been monitoring the pressure on throughout Hinsdale and take that in consideration as we do these designs.
Okay, great.
Okay, consent agenda on that then? Okay,
Okay. All right. And then as we already started talking about it, the construction observation is this next item 7C, where we want to award that to HR Green, who's done a lot of good work for us in the past.
okay, tell me again what the budgeted amount was?
248,000.
Okay, good, okay. Any questions on that? Want to put that on the consent agenda?
Okay, next thing, we have the Brush Hill ceiling collapsed back in November, and the plastering let go and the heaters crashed down. Unfortunately, nobody was hurt. So we have kind of a two-phase project between number 1 and number 2, agenda item 7D. First is we have to award $9,250 to Smith Plastering. They're going to replaster the ceiling at the Brush Hill station. The cause of the accident, we think, is over the years vibration of the passing trains. And then the next thing is, once we get the ceiling back in order, is to purchase and install new HVAC equipment to the tune of $11,000, $11,149.
Okay, this is on the side of the train where the ticket office is, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, and so we are responsible for repairs to the building, not the railroad?
We are responsible for it, yes.
Why is that? It's just,
It's part of the lease agreement we have with BNSF.
okay, okay.
Okay, any other questions in that? We can go to the consent agenda on those?
Yeah.
All right, I think I'm done.
All right, that takes us to you, Luke.
Yep, and this moves us to agenda item 7E, which is a first read and is a matter that we referred to the Plan Commission and the Historic Preservation Commission at our January 5th Village Board meeting. The request is to approve a major adjustment to exterior appearance plan for the facade changes at 26 and 38 East First Street, which is commonly known as Garfield Crossing. The request will accommodate a new retail tenant known as Circa Lighting and will alter the front and rear facade. Circa Lighting intends to occupy the space previously held by Kaler Luggage and also Verizon. Kaler Luggage is leaving town, Verizon is staying in town and moving just one storefront to the west and will still be in Garfield Crossing. The current request includes to remove the muttons and vertical mullions from the front store windows, to remove the awnings on the storefronts at 26, 28, and 30 East First Street, to remove separate entrance doors to 26 and 28 First Street and replace with a new single entrance. Fourth, to remove the rear door and adjacent window at 26 East First and replace with glass double doors. To relocate the existing Verizon sign from 26 to 34 East First Street. And to install the Circle Lighting wall sign above the new store entrance, which will be a separate approval at the Plan Commission, but I just want to mention it here. And then replace the 4 gooseneck exterior light fixtures with new lighting from Circa's own collection. I would note here that the Historic Preservation Commission reviewed the application at its January 6th meeting and unanimously recommended approval 6-0. The Plan Commission then reviewed the application on January 13th and recommended approval unanimously 8-0, with the condition that the outside lights have dimmers. Additionally, the applicant clarified at the time that the only inside lights that would be on overnight or after hours are those that are in the display front windows. And with that, I would open it up to the applicant if it has any comments or additional input on the matter.
Hi, this is Gail. I'm on the line, and I think you've represented it beautifully, and I think I don't have anything to add to that.
Okay, great. So I would open it up to trustees for questions and comments.
Luke, do we have a final picture? There wasn't anything in our.
Yeah, there wasn't anything, and I believe staff probably because after it was included in our first when we referred this to the Hinsdale Plan Commission. We do have this as a second read, and we'll get drawings included at the back. I think
they're changing the doors around, weren't they, or so? I mean, I'm sure it's good, but
they're basically going to have 2 doors, and they're going to combine them into one front door. We had a little bit of a conversation of this. We discussed this when we referred it to Plan Commission, but also I'd like to see some pictures of the lights that are going on, so we'll have that included at the second read in 2 weeks.
Good.
I would note that, and just not that this passes on our judgment here, but that those were all included and reviewed at HPC and PC.
Correct.
So, good. Other comments or questions from trustees? Jerry? No?
Nope.
Hearing none, then I would advise the applicant that you probably do not need to attend the next meeting unless you hear something differently from Rob McGinnis. And we will make sure that some colored pictures or schematics are included in the next packet. And this will.
Perfect. You can reach out to us if you don't have what you need. We're happy to provide whatever it is that you need.
Great, thank you. So this will go on. This will go on the agenda for a second read.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Which moves us to agenda item 7F. This is also a first read and is to approve the purchase of 28 police officer body cams from WatchGuard in the amount of $42,249.50. The 2021 budget does include $30,000 for the purchase of body cameras. The chief originally planned to purchase 16 body cameras, but due to current legislation that has been passed by both houses, the state of Illinois is likely to require body cams for sworn personnel. This legislation is just simply requiring the governor's signature to pass. As such, the increase here from 16 cameras, which were originally budgeted 28, will cover all officers plus 3 held for maintenance and inventory. And I would note that part of the reason that the chief wants to go up from 16 to 28, part of the new legislation dictates that all officers must be wearing body cams. And while we normally have less than 28 on duty, during heavier times, for example, during parades or during events, we may have officers that would go as high as 25 with then the 3 extra, which would be held in inventory for maintenance. I would also note that staff has applied for a $10,000 grant from IRMA, which would reduce the total cost from $32,000 to $32,249, or roughly $2,250 over budget. And under budgeted funds are available in the capital reserve. I would note here that staff did go out to 3 vendors for the body cameras and received quotes from the $42,000 up to $129,000. WatchGuard was the cheapest, as the police department already uses WatchGuard monitoring service for its cruisers, and as such, as it was able to integrate will be able to integrate the body cameras into its existing equipment, which is maintained by the police, primarily servers. So with that, the only question that I have initially for the chief is how likely is it that we will receive that $10,000 grant from IRMA?
We did talk to IRMA, and they said that they would cut the check once they had proof that the village had completed the purchase.
Okay, great, thank you.
Sounds pretty certain.
Yep. So with that, I would open it up to other questions from trustees.
Yeah, so one question, not at all signaling any desire to spend any more money, but the Axon quote of 129,000 just kind of jumps off the page. So Chief King, just wondering, in a competitive market, you'd expect this to be a little bit closer. So is there something notably different about that technology, and I guess related to this, how much of the delta is due to the fact that we already use the WatchGuard system? Maybe you could just help give some color to that.
Yeah, the cost is related, or the cost savings with going with WatchGuard is entirely related to the fact that we already own and operate a WatchGuard server. So it requires a little bit of an adjustment or an upgrade, but we're leveraging what the village already owns. Now, if we did not own a WatchGuard server, that cost would be closer to Axon, but Axon would always be more expensive. It's simply a more robust system. There's different things you can do with that body camera. It's probably the top of the line in the market. However,
is there any reason that we should have a more robust system?
No, it's not necessary in our opinion. We've experimented with the WatchGuard by putting it out with the detectives and some of their activities. It works perfectly fine. It meets our needs. It's actually pretty good quality.
And so when you say robust, is that just durability and ability to withstand more demanding environments or something like that?
No, it goes to 2 things, Trustee Hughes. One is their redaction software is a little easier to use than WatchGuard, based on our opinion. And then it has an ability to, in one capacity, grab license plates a little more efficiently than the WatchGuard system does. So there's little technological advances that have occurred with Axon that, in our opinion, puts them a little bit ahead of the industry. If everything was equal, that would likely be our vendor. But I think the WatchGuard is what we would recommend. It just makes sense leveraging the system. We've tested it. It works well. It produces a good quality video.
Okay, sounds good. And well, actually, I guess And many other municipalities in Illinois are using the WatchGuard system. Is that correct?
Yes, most of them are closest to us would be Oak Brook. In Oak Brook is doing kind of the exact thing that Hinsdale's doing. They're leveraging their servers for their cars, so they're not buying two different video servers. But that's the reason they went with the WatchGuard system as well.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. And Chief, with the legislation that is likely to pass here in the very near future, is there any reason to order this more quickly than 2 weeks from now? Given I expect there will be an increase in demand.
Well, there is an increase with the demand from the vendor, but the vendor, we went out to bid on this at the end of last year. The vendor tells us that they can complete that order within a 4 to 6 week period.
Good, thank you.
And the statute doesn't come into effect until 2023, right? Assuming it's signed.
2024 for us. So
Okay.
like this budget request kind of predates that legislation. The request was to kind of a risk management for the village to make sure that there was like an adequate documentation if an officer has to use force out on the street, that the village would be protected from that.
So do we have to buy these things now? If they don't have to be in place till 2024?
We do not have to buy these now.
But I think we thought that it was a good idea, even absent the legislation.
Right, we did have this in the budget for this year, Neil, and they were approved. It was simply that only 16 were approved versus what we're asking for here is 28.
And we're doing that because the legislation is going to come, so we will have the requisite number. But I think it's a good move to have these body cameras irrespective of the legislation.
Yeah.
I agree. And most of DuPage County is moving in this direction very, very quickly.
So is Clarendon Hills, Western Springs, are they all, Oak Brook, are they all getting these things?
Everybody is starting the bid process. I think we're fortunate that we went out to bid prior to the legislation being passed. I think that made the bids a little more competitive in our case.
You know, Brian, I also understand that there is, these things generate countless hours of video that have to be saved, that have to be managed. Do we have the manpower to do that?
Yeah, we've looked at comparably sized agencies in terms of FOIA requests and processing, and we have not found that their experiences to create such a burden that it would change like a staffing model for the village of Hinsdale. We think we can do that in-house without a problem.
And what?
Okay. And then along those lines, I'm wondering if it does get to be too much of a thing, could maybe we work some sharing arrangement out with Clarendon Hills or something like that?
Correct.
It's sharing the storage of this video.
But I guess I don't understand if there's no incident, why would you need to keep the video? I can see if there was a use of force, you'd have to keep the video, but in a routine day, why would you have to store all the video relating to a routine day?
The camera records, but it only memorializes events that the officer indicates on their lapels based on a call for service or an emergency response. Generally, the standard in law enforcement is you keep those at least 60 days because sometimes a complainant that's unhappy about an interaction with the police officer doesn't make it to the police station in the first couple of days or the weeks. It kind of buys you a little bit of a time. So if somebody comes in and says, hey, a month ago I had a bad interaction with your officers, we have actual data to go back and look at.
Yeah.
So for the squad cars, we keep the data, even without complaint until we're sure that there's no issues.
Okay, makes sense.
I just have a kind of kick in the tire question. What is a warranty that accompanies a purchase like this?
This comes with a 5-year warranty that we paid for upfront. The village could extend that at some point.
Thanks.
And is there any kind of a planned obsolescence on these, that we should be budgeting to replace them all within 8 years or something like that?
Yes, but we're currently looking at people that have actually deployed them. A vendor will give you an obsolescence date that is not necessarily reasonable or it's more beneficial to them. So we're actually looking at real life experiences. But in this next capital year CIP, we will put something in there as a placeholder.
Other questions?
So are we going to start using these right away then, Brian, once you get them?
Once we get them, we'll start with the training. And there is legislation in effect right now. We'd have to train up on that legislation, but we could have them deployed within a couple weeks after the arrival.
See, I'm just wondering, I mean, I'm not against these things and obviously they're in the news all the time, but you know, right now spending this money and also having the officers start to use them. We're right in the midst of all this pandemic, COVID, you know, this is another thing they don't need to deal with. It would seem to me that once we're past the COVID thing, then they can start using these things and we're still well in compliance with the law.
We will be in compliance. Most of the officers, I think to a man and woman, are excited about going to the body cameras because the officers feel that it protects them as well. If we're conducting a search warrant, if we're conducting a high-risk traffic stop, it provides an accurate account of what the officer's actions were and what the threat assessment was from the suspect that justified those actions. So the officers kind of view this as like kind of protecting their back. It's having something that gives a very definitive record of
Okay.
on the street.
All right.
I also think it protects us as a board that they're now available to use them is I think something, it's a smart move for the village board to get them on the officers as quickly as we can.
I agree. This makes sense regardless of whether there was a statute.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Protects us from frivolous claims.
Right.
Yeah, and the only reason, the way that the statute is written, it goes by the size of the community, and the smaller communities are further out on the timeline. So that's why we're out at 2024. But if we're ready now, I think we should go.
Yep.
Good. All right. Any objection to putting this on the consent agenda? Consent agenda it is. Thank you.
Okay, that takes us to the accounts payable.
I had the accounts payable this week. Everything was in order, so I would like to move to approve payment of the accounts payable for the period of January 18th, 2021 through January 29th, 2021 in the aggregate amount of $600,286.94 set forth on the list provided by the village treasurer, of which a permanent copy is on file with the village clerk.
Did Trustee Harlow's audio go out just for me?
Yeah, I heard her fine.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I heard her too.
Second.
Second, roll call vote.
Trustee Postuma,
Aye.
trustee Banky,
Aye.
trustee Stifler,
Aye.
trustee Hughes,
Aye.
trustee Harlow,
Aye.
trustee Burns.
Aye.
Can I have a motion with respect to consent agenda items 8B and C?
Move to approve consent agenda items 8B and C.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Trustee Postuma,
Aye.
trustee Banky,
Aye.
trustee Stifler,
Aye.
trustee Hughes,
Aye.
trustee Harlow,
Aye.
trustee
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Takes us to item 9A, Jerry.
Yeah, so the next two items both relate to the retirement of Daryl Langlois that President Cawley noted in President's remarks, and the sort of assignment of interim responsibilities to the current Assistant Finance Director. And so the first one is for Irma. So we have a authorized agent. And so this would change that from Daryl Langlois to Allison Brothen. It's on a second read because of the time-sensitive nature of the item. So I'll make a motion and see if there's discussion. I'll move to approve a resolution to appoint an authorized agent to the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund.
Second.
Roll call, is there any discussion? Roll call vote.
Trustee Postuma,
Aye.
Trustee Banky,
Aye.
Trustee Stifler,
Aye.
Trustee Hughes,
Aye.
Trustee Harlow,
Aye.
Trustee Burns.
Aye.
Okay, and then 9B is essentially the same thing, but we need to change records with our bank and signing authority. So this next one would be, I'll move to approve certified resolutions for local government customer naming BMO Harris Bank as a designated depository, designation of authorized officers, and authorized activities.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Trustee Postuma,
Aye.
Trustee Banky,
Aye.
Trustee Stifler,
Aye.
Trustee Hughes,
Aye.
Trustee Harlow,
Aye.
Trustee Burns,
Aye.
Okay, that takes us through the agenda items to the discussion items. Anything on the tollway, Brad?
No, we have received a request to do local access for the installation of a sewer along Mill Street that would go from Ogden Avenue all the way south to Ravine. We're still gathering information on the tollway. If we don't provide local access, tollway is asking to remove a couple sections of the noise wall. We're gathering more information. Once we have that information, we will forward it on to the board for a decision. Our concern with local access is wear and tear and noise and mud on the roadways. It's about a 3-month project, and it's a pretty intensive project to be on our local roads. So,
And this is something that they didn't envision when they designed the tollway?
no, it's actually going on the our side of the noise wall, and this is additional drainage to accommodate the increased width of the roadway.
Okay.
But as soon as we get that information, I'll forward it on to the board for a decision.
Okay. Staff reports, Kathleen, anything to report?
You're on mute, Kathleen.
I just want to echo my everyone's previous comments. I just really want to thank Daryl for all his work and how much I've enjoyed working with him in Hinsdale. We knew each other professionally from sitting on various boards, namely the insurance board, I recall. So I've known him for a lot longer than I've worked with him. But I just think he is just one of the best finance directors in the area. And I'm glad that he had a rewarding career and wish him the best of luck.
Agreed. Sorry to see you.
You're here. You're here.
All the best.
Thank you, everybody. I've really enjoyed my time here. I think the support the board and the staff has been really, really great to work with. Like I say, I thank you very much. I really do appreciate the kind words. Thank you.
Good
Can I
luck.
jump in, Tom? I don't know if we're at trustees' comments, but we're on the topic. Daryl, I just want to add my own personal thanks to you and just acknowledge that, for being the trustee kind of on point for finance issues, I've been able to sleep soundly knowing that you're on the job. You are one of the most conscientious people that I've worked with, certainly as it relates to village government, but I'd say a much broader scope than that. When Kathleen sort of shared the news of where you might be heading, we had a long conversation about how hard we should work to try to keep you. Believe me, there is a big incentive to try really, really hard. And I want to make sure that you know that if you didn't sense exactly that forceful of an effort, it's because we know that this path is really good for you personally, and ultimately really, really hope the best for you. I mean, I mentioned retirement because I guess technically that's what this is. We know you're going to a new chapter, and they're getting a really great person. So wish you the best.
Thank you, Jerry. I really appreciate the kind words. Thank you.
Well said.
Any other trustee comments on Daryl or anything else? Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn to go into closed session, please?
Citizens petition.
Oh,
Yep.
sorry. Yikes. Anybody on the line, citizens wishing to speak on any matter on or off the agenda?
Yeah, hi, it's Chris Elder. I just wanted to echo everything that you guys are saying about Daryl and thank him for his years of service and to recognize his contribution back early on with you, Tom, and Doug to right the ship on finances, and then with Jerry stepping in to take over. And I think that I know of, Doug, Daryl's the only one to get a Doug Gioga hat.
That's right.
He retired, so I just wanted to say thank you for your years of service. I really enjoyed working with you, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you. As I told Chris before, I actually do. I still have the hat and I keep it. It is it was very meaningful when he gave that to me. We worked really hard in the early, right after the recession and everything, getting the MIP going and things like that. So it was a very good, very hard work, but I think it ended up being very, very good for both me personally, and I think the village is benefited by all of those things.
Great. Thanks, Chris. Anyone else on the line? Any other trustee comments? Have a motion for a closed session?
Yeah, I will make the motion to move to adjourn the meeting into closed session under Section 5 of the ILCS 120/2C11. Litigation filed or pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when an action is probable or imminent, not to reconvene into open session.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Trustee Postuma,
Aye.
trustee Banky,
Aye.
trustee Stifler,
Aye.
trustee Hughes,
Aye.
trustee Harlow,
Aye.
trustee Burns.
Aye.
Okay, see you all shortly. Thank you.